Madam Speaker. My question is to the Minister for Health. Minister, medical evidence and the experience of other countries in the grip of COVID-19 tells us every day we delay effective social distancing is a day too long. Health workers are the ones who will confront the price of inaction. There is strong health evidence that children can pass the coronavirus to other people. Allowing students to mingle in groups presents a threat to your medical guidelines that aim to contain this disease. How can you continue to advise parents that kids shouldn't have sleepovers or school holidays, yet ignore the everyday risk of them in a classroom or bus with the same friends? Parents, teachers and school children across Tasmania are in a state of anxiety and frustration over the mixed messaging. The Premier is correct. This is serious. It is a matter of life and death, and the lost jobs of thousands of people cannot be in vain. Will you recognise this risk and push for school closures?
The Honourable Minister for Health.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I thank the Honourable for the question. I would like to reiterate the points that have been made by both the Premier and the Deputy Premier with regards to both social distancing and school closures. We know with the measures that we have taken and consider taking that some of these measures, they are very blunt, and we need to understand the full ramifications of each of these decisions and also any unintended consequences. Both the Premier and the Deputy Premier have outlined quite extensively today why the government has made that decision, and that decision has been made on expert advice. Over the preceding weeks, in terms of both preparedness of our hospital system but the responses within public health, we are acting proactively to ensure that every time we receive advice from the experts that we act. The Premier has made it very clear on a number of occasions that he will make sure that he will act decisively with the interests of Tasmanians at the heart of every decision. We are working through these options. As the Deputy Premier has said, we know that we have uncertain times ahead, and I would like to thank those staff that are working incredibly hard both across our private and independent schools, because the impact on them, the impact on children and the impact on families across Tasmania needs to be considered. So the Deputy Premier and the Premier with regards to school closures will continue to act on advice, and I have no doubt that both the Premier and the Deputy Premier will act decisively and appropriately if that advice changes.